Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Proline Daily, the longest-running sports handicapping show in America, coming to you direct from Las Vegas. NBA playoffs, well, they'll be about to begin as they wrap up the regular season. Baseball and hockey postseason starts tonight. And, of course, baseball we've got every day from now until a long way from now. And, boy, the action's been tremendous. Some great games so far in baseball. Jim, 84-47 is your NBA run. We do have, I guess you can call them, mildly meaningful games. That's all. It's just seeding for the most part, or the last playoff spot. And one of those games kind of looks like a gimme because the other team isn't playing anybody. I guess Toronto and Cleveland will be interesting tonight because it's Toronto and Cleveland. But I don't know how much these teams are interested in it, Jim.
Well, to me, from what I'm reading, Toronto is very interested in playing their players, establishing themselves. But Cleveland, ironically, in a dogfight for the number one seed, is resting a lot of people. It just shows you that the seeding is more meaningful to the media than it is to these clubs.
Yep.
What does seeding really mean? It means you get one extra game at home. Well, in the playoffs, the home advantage isn't that meaningful, especially if you have the superior team going in. So Cleveland doesn't seem to care whatsoever.
They've given up. They've given up. They'll take the number 2 seed. And they don't really care. And you know what? It probably doesn't matter.
Right.
So,
the question comes in, since we've had 82 games of preseason basketball, and now we're going into half the teams getting in the playoffs, which teams are going to be able to turn it on when they need to, and which teams have left too much momentum on the floor and they can't get back to playing meaningful, steady, and quality basketball.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And they can't start the playoffs soon enough. Not from a betting standpoint, because I know you've had a great season, but from a fan standpoint, it's been a pretty bad NBA season. Maybe that's been good for sports bettors. It hasn't been good for fans, and they really need to get it going in the playoffs. I think they've turned off a lot of people this year with the guys getting really in my opinion, a ridiculous amount of rest. I mean, for crying out loud, and I know this is going to sound like old man get off my lawn stuff, but you're getting that much money. How about showing up and playing?
They don't get paid enough. That's the problem. You get $16, $17 million a year, $20 million a year, $30 million a year. Even if you're getting $5 million a year, you're only working half the year anyway.
No, I wouldn't say that anymore. I would disagree with that. I think these guys have to stay in shape, and that's work. But it's still great money. And the fact is, if it's one game or 2 games during the course of the season, I don't think anybody's got a problem with that. It's like every week they got to have an extra day off. Kind of ridiculous.
Well, you talk about work, staying in shape. I go to the gym every day, and nobody's ever paid me to do so.
Right.
So, I mean, if they paid me that kind of money, I have a problem with it. I go back to what Karl Malone said a couple of weeks ago. He played every game. These guys are professionals. They're supposed to do. Well, this is all where union takes over and they slop it up and the players are in charge. It's almost like the inmates are in charge of the prison. So,
well, the one league it's not is the NFL, and that's the flip side of it, is that the NFL, I think, is a little bit out of control with some of their rulings. I mean, this latest one, it's like people missed it. What year is this? The NFL is going to find some players who showed up in Las Vegas and took part in an arm wrestling contest in a casino because it qualifies as a promotional thing. Are you kidding? It's just, and the players can't do anything about it. It does show you the strength of the union, because the NFL union is widely considered to be the weakest of the major sports. I don't think there's any question they are. And quite honestly, this is a ridiculous. These players getting fined is totally ridiculous, and it's just an insane power trip by the NFL.
Dave, is that the NFL or is it Roger Goodell and his kind of a Gestapo attitude?
Well, it's the NFL.
But I know he works for the owners, so I'm not really sure where that comes
It's in
from.
the rules. It's in the CBA, and that's something that I don't understand how the player. That tells you something because the players in other sports wouldn't agree to that. But they did in the NFL, so it's in the CBA. They can't do promotional appearances for casinos. If you're asking me to make sense out of it, I can't do it. Let's try and make sense out of a baseball game tonight.
Okay.
The Orioles and Red Sox. Excellent pitching performance by Drew Pomeranz last night. This was a 2-1 game going to the bottom of the seventh, and then the Orioles turned into the Keystone Cops. They made two errors. Two errors. Hardy botched the double play ball. It should have been a 2-1 game getting out of the inning. It was a room service double play, and he just completely fumbled it. They had another error. They had another error on top of that, which wasn't called an error. It was a whiff by Jonathan Shoup, their second baseman, Scope, I guess is the pronunciation, excuse me. And he just whiffed on a pop-up, and they called it a single, but it wasn't. It was an error. So that was a bad performance by the Orioles. There's been some money on the Orioles in this game today with Ubaldo Jimenez taking on Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer for the Red Sox. I guess I can see it. The Orioles are a pretty good baseball team against righties, especially. They've got some guys who can hit out of the park, and if Wright's knuckleball isn't knuckling, he can get hit. But Ubaldo is always very risky to me, and the problem I would have with that play, I didn't get involved in the game. The Red Sox are very patient. They will not swing at bad pitches. And that's this is a big on-base percentage team, and they'll be happy to take walks. And Ubaldo is not a good control pitcher. He didn't pitch very well against the Yankees in his first start, and I don't have any faith in him. Although I do think the opening line was probably a little too high here, Jim.
Well, there's been quite a bit of money coming in on the dog here on Baltimore, and when the price got down to -128, I took a little bite out of Boston. I thought the price was more correct when it was early. I mean, Wright, granted, and all you said about Wright is true on both teams is true, but they are home, and that makes a difference. Boston is a good quality team, and to make them this small of a favorite in a situation where they stood up for themselves last night in a very tough situation.
Yeah.
And all the money came in yesterday on Bundy.
Look, I'm one of them. I took the Orioles yesterday.
So did I.
Unfortunately, I won my big play in the Mets, but I did lose the Orioles last night. But it was the wrong side. I mean, they didn't do anything offensively the whole game. And if you score one, it doesn't matter how bad the defense is. If you only score one run, you're probably not going to win.
Yeah, that's true, but I'm not going to say it was the wrong side. It was the wrong side because it lost, I guess. But when you look at what you're looking at going in, Pomeranz didn't look like he would be a pitcher for this ballpark. Even when they traded for him, I wasn't too sure it would be. But he pitched very well yesterday.
That was his first win at Fenway Park.
Right, and that's one of the reasons there was a lot of money against him. I favor Wright here in this. He's on a 12-5 run, so I'm going to go with Wright. Small play, and like you said, Jimenez is a little bit inconsistent, and that's the direction I went with this game.
Note the flu bug thing seems to be pretty much done now. Wasn't a good stretch for Boston, that's for sure. I mean, it was just awful how hard that team got hit by the flu. But it looks like the last of it was Benintendi is the last guy. He played through it and appears to be okay. Hanley Ramirez is back to normal. He had a rough case of the flu. They've got their two guys back from bereavement, Bogarts and Matt Barnes, the relief pitcher who got in the game last night. So the Red Sox are in a little better shape right now, and we'll see how it plays out tonight. We have a free play that will be coming up in just a moment. If you want to get free plays every day and a recorded message, you can do so toll-free at 888-294-1970.
And you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jim Fice Sports. Sign up for 30 days of baseball for $4.99 right now at jimfice.com. Plus, get free plays daily by texting GAME, G-A-M-E, to 25827.
Last night when I saw this line, and it's gone down now, so I would not go full play on this, but I think it's worth a bet anyway. The Brooklyn Nets are playing the Chicago Bulls. The Nets are sitting a bunch of players tonight. 6 guys will sit. They're done for the season. Well, that means some guys who don't normally get a lot of minutes will get minutes tonight for Brooklyn. And the one thing we've seen out of this team down the stretch is they play hard, and they've won a lot of games down the stretch, especially considering their overall standing. They won a whole lot of games. The Bulls need to win to make the playoffs. So the line when this game, once the announcement came out of the Nets, went nuts. It went all the way to 15. 15. It's come back down a little bit to 13.5. And I think that those who jumped in and took the 15, I think they made a wise move. All the Bulls want to do is win here. They don't care about the margin. And I think you're going to get a continued effort out of Brooklyn. And who the heck is Chicago to be laying 15 points to anybody? They're not, I mean, they're just not a particularly good team. So even at 13.5, I think Brooklyn is probably worth a small play.
I would agree, Dave. You know, I'm not too excited about this last night in the NBA regular season. I have a couple of plays, but nothing substantial. I'm going to go to baseball, and I'm going to look at the Colorado Rockies a little bit today. You know, this young kid, Kyle Freeland, has shown some promise, and I think that, for me, that's a good play to give out here. I think the people are probably not aware of this young man, and sometimes these guys come on the market, and it's an early game. It starts at 12:10 our time, which is
right.
3:10 East Coast, and he's going up against Lee. The game opened 166. It's staying in that ballpark, 159 to 166. It's a big price, but I like Colorado with Freeland in this game. I'm also going to make mention of another situation here. Arizona is playing very well.
That's a whole new attitude down there.
Yeah, Dave. I mean, this is amazing. They did well at home. They started the season off against San Francisco, and they just did really well in that. I think they lost one game in the series. Then they swept the Indians.
Yep.
But, okay, so then they go on the road. They go to San Francisco. You figure, well, this could be a turnaround for San Francisco to get a little payback. But Arizona's showing up. I mean, this team it started a 130 dog today. And right now, I see a couple of books with Arizona with Miller actually favored. So that's a pretty big line move.
I don't disagree with it either.
No, I don't either. But I actually bet Arizona, but I bet them at a better price. I don't like chasing numbers, but, you know, in this particular spot, you're not laying much, and you could probably do a little shopping. You could probably get them at even or even a little bit of a dog, because not everybody's gone that direction totally. So I'm gonna go with Arizona with Miller and Colorado with Freeland today, and they're 2 free picks.
I like the Arizona side some as well. You know, I don't like Shelby Miller for obvious reasons. Although, you know, he was really pumping the fastball on his first start. His velocity was really good. So maybe he'll have maybe that new attitude will extend to him as well. But Matt Cain, you know, you never like to see it, Jim, and you don't like to say it either. Looks like he's all done. And his velocity is the lowest. I believe it was the lowest of his career in his first start. He got knocked all over the place. And he's the guy who's got a lot of innings on that arm. He was a real workhorse for a lot of years for the Giants, but he looks at this point like he might be at the end. And by the way, it's worth noting, I mean, Buster, it's only one guy, but it's a key guy. Buster Posey's on the DL for the next 6 days with the concussion.
Yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, it sure was.
Anyway, you know, let's say one thing about these guys that make the major leagues. When I was a kid, I played little league and stuff with some guys that actually did make the majors, and I talked to them for a lot of years while they were playing and stuff, and they said, if you're blessed to be that good and get there, you just enjoy your time. It's going to end. It has to end.
Yep.
In every sport, you get too old, and the young kids come up but these guys, I don't feel bad if they can have a good career and don't get hurt along the way, and they but if they run out their career and they make good money, they got a lot of things to do with their life afterwards. So you're right. He's done. He looks done.